Hi, I'd like to start by asking you a riddle. What kind of rock is big enough to hold about 200 children and a dozen or so adult leaders and teens? And it's spacious enough to hold an entire basketball court. It's comfortable and clean enough to have a pizza party or a ice cream sundae bar. And it even shares the gospel. Any guesses? Well, it's a place, it's a thing, it's an outreach for the advancement of the gospel, and it's called the ROC, the ROC, the Recreation Outreach Center, and it's the newest thing that's going on at David's Community Bible Church. This is actually kind of the fulfillment of 5 years in the making of our 250th anniversary of David's Community Bible Church. And you may wonder, well, why would we be looking at building some kind of new building? But we already have a church building. Well, there are a couple of reasons for needing building. And one is our church is getting extra large. There's a lot of people coming to the church now. We have close to 400 people coming every Sunday. And the last count, the last children's program that was done, there were about almost 200 children. And also, looking at the community, there's quite a need for a place for youth to come to be safe and have a good time playing and getting together. It seems as though that's always what you hear about in our valley, that there just aren't very many places for teens to get together and gather and have a good time and be safe, for the parents to know that they're all right. And also there is need for adults to get together, and above all, we want to be able to share the gospel with people, because that's what we need is people to know Jesus. So I wanted to let you know why I'm talking about this. I'm an active member of David's Community Bible Church since 1998. And also I've talked with a member of the building committee named Dave Horkler, and I got a few statements also from our pastor, Pastor Alan Briggs. So part of the reason that we wanted this building was that the two of our pastors came from a background of having a building that was like a gym. And they saw over the years how they were able to use those facilities to have a lot of outreach, like concerts and other events. So they already knew that was effective. What we have is a fellowship room, which is a church basement, and you just picture a room that's set up, your typical church with the tables and chairs and a kitchen nearby, and that's where we would have maybe our fellowship meals from time to time. Well, that's the very same place where the teens come to play dodgeball. When there are a bunch of teenagers throwing around a dodgeball and it's a low ceiling, the ceiling tiles get knocked out and the floor gets all messed up. But that's right now what we have for a place for them to play. So we'd like to expand on that and have a larger building. So let me show you what this building is going to look like. We have the plans drawn up, and it's two buildings, essentially two different phases, which is a good economical way to do it. One is the gymnasium, and then the other is more like a building that has classrooms, and it will be connected. And this is done through someone who goes to our church who is an architect. There's an outside view. And so that's the second part that I'd like to get to. Now I'd like to tell what phase that we're in and how we got there. So as I mentioned, it was thought of about 5 years ago, but it wasn't the right timing. The congregation wasn't really fully on board, and the funds were not there. So as the church continued to grow, it became really clear that this is something that God wanted us to do. There's a lot of prayer that went into this, and during the pandemic, when a lot of churches were shut down, there was actually increased giving at David's Community Bible Church, which is really a major unexpected event. The giving went up. So we'll be able to finance this building and be able to pay it off, we're thinking, in about 10 years. And today is a really exciting day because they're actually pouring the concrete for the slab to begin that foundation of the building. And it will need to cure for about 30 days to get to 90% of its strength. That's what Dave Horkler tells me. And then the steel beams will be coming in November, and then there'll be a little bit of a pause over the winter, and then they'll be working full force on getting that all set up, getting started in February. And then all the interior, the flooring, the insulation, the wiring, the plumbing, that will be taking place so that it will be ready to open in May, Lord willing. So have I run out of time?
You're at 5 minutes and 6 seconds.
Okay, well, I have just a few more seconds to tell you that one of the challenges that we had was that prices skyrocketed for building supplies this past summer. And so that made us wonder, well, what's going to happen to the future of the building. But some of the prices we were able to get guaranteed. I say we, I'm not on the committee, but the committee was able to get some guaranteed prices so that even as steel went up, we would be able to still obtain that. We had to look at about 5 different companies for steel. And then I also wanted to tell you that when I mentioned that this is a ROC, it's just saying, ROC stands for Recreation Outreach Center. It's the ROC, but also it is a place where we can point to Jesus being the rock of our salvation. And as Pastor Briggs says, our desire is to give our community's young people a safe place to have fun,
6 minutes,
as well as share the love of Jesus with them. And unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Psalm 127:1.